Hi guys, Jimmy here and welcome back to the third episode of the Mod Center. So today at the Mod Center we're going to be casting our BDI upon the EnduranceRacingX mod, aka the EGT mod by UnitedRacingDesign, which includes 5 non-licensed cars that are based on modern GTE cars. Now, you might wonder why I'm saying they're non-licensed and why that matters at all, and I've had to mod why has that ever been brought up. Well, this is a payware mod, which means you have to pay to use it, to download it. I'm going to go over my thoughts about payware mods towards the end of the video, but for now I'm going to kind of stick to what the content is like. Okay, and we're going to start where we usually start, which is the graphics and models. And before I start rambling, I want to quickly just make a little note that this is still in development, this mod. The current purchase you're seeing is a pre-order beta thingy type whatever, and obviously that means that what you're seeing now is not the final version. Regardless of that, there is no denying that the models on this mod have been groomed to within an inch of perfection. I use the word groomed because the level of detail used by URT, these models are very impressive indeed. Although there aren't any badges on the car to identify as to what it is for obvious reason, you can clearly tell what make and model you're looking at just by looking at the bodywork. It's to that level of detail. There are some little rough areas on the cars, some bits that don't match up perfectly, but this is still in development, so we're going to kind of overlook that for now and move on to damage, which is fairly decent despite the lack of the vertex damage, and that is an rF2 limitation, not a mod limitation. Vertex damage is where you get bumps and the panels and dents. Panels will fly off in this mod after heavy impact, so like there's a clip I'll be showing on screen now of me hitting the back of a Corvette and bits going everywhere, which is quite glorious at the time. Despite the damage obviously sustained, the Corvette fan at the back of the car remained undamaged even after that sort of impact. It was just pristine. That stood out a little bit, and it was quite off-putting immersion wise, but hopefully that's something they'll fix with the final version of the mod. Also, it has that very weird rF2 characteristics of headlights remaining after a massive crash, so you can have a boulder hit the front of your car, destroy the whole front end, but the headlights will be floating in mid-air, which is very nice to look at. One thing that bugs me personally, and this is a tiny nitpick, it's very hard to fault things with these models, is that in the cockpits are a little bit bland, and the display is a little bit too bright. I know I'm kind of contradicting myself there, but the display for the tachometer is a little bit in your face, a little bit similar in each car, and almost like a little bit of a toy. So, but otherwise these cars are beautiful. It's a very tiny nitpick. The cockpits are very good overall, so I'm going to give the models and graphics a 9 out of 10. EGT is a real treat to drive, and I really mean that. The force feedback feels the most realistic that I've ever come across in any sim, any driving experience. The steering loads up in faster corners, but it doesn't feel heavy all the time like some other mods that try and replicate the steering by kind of taking shortcuts in the physics. The car does what I expect it to do, and when I do make a mistake, it is definitely my fault. The cars visually move around when you're driving around track, around Sebring. You can feel the cars bumping and see the wheel. You have to fight the wheel in a straight line on the bumps, and overall just a very convincing driving experience. I mean, you see me driving around the Nürburgring here in the Z4, and I just had a big smile on my face all the way around. You know, Nürburgring, fantastic car. What's a better combination than that? Now, although this is only my third mod center, and I know I've been quite generous with the marks so far, I'm going to be giving it a 9.5 for the driving experience. I don't want to say it's perfect because I haven't driven everything out there in the world, but I really enjoyed this one. As I mentioned before when talking about driving, the whole experience of the mod is very, very convincing. I recently ran a kind of fun dry to wet race against AI at Sebring, and despite my driving being awful as always, I felt like I was really into it, really enjoying the whole racing. I had little battles throughout the track, and I was really just enjoying myself, which is what sim racing should be about. Obviously there are some downsides to this mod not being licensed. I mean, some of the cars have weird names, like the Aston Martin is called Narfa Merlin, which is kind of worth a giggle to me. and the Viper was called, predictably, the Venom. But aside from that, I felt like I was really driving a proper GTE car. And that leads me on to sounds. Now, onboard sounds from this mod are very impressive indeed. In fact, the Viper sounds are probably some of the best that I've had the pleasure of listening to throughout my short sim racing career. I mean, you just crank up the volume, go around the track and just get goosebumps as you're driving around with that very lazy sounding engine. It's just brilliant. But then there are the external sounds, which are at best average. Now, let's take for example the Corvette from this mod and compare it to the stock ISI Corvette exterior sounds, and even that of the GT1 from the iRacing exterior sounds. It is just far inferior to those two, and it's a real shame because it lets down the mod in such a big area. Sounds are such a big part of Immersion for me, and I'm sure it's the same for a lot of you, and it's very sad to see it let down there. So for that reason, I'm going to give it an 8.5 for Immersion. So that leaves us with a final score of 27 out of 30. So very high scoring this mod, and I would expect it to be, being that it is payware. So now this is where I'm going to start going into this. How do I feel about payware? For someone who has played iRacing for a long time and put a lot of money into iRacing, it's not really uncommon to end up paying for cars and tracks, and that's the way that sim racing is starting to go, that now it's becoming a bit more popular. When it's this kind of quality, when I'm paying, I think it's about £8 or so for this URD mod, about €9 or so, when I'm getting this kind of quality from something that is not yet complete, it's still in beta, as I mentioned, it's still being worked on, I am happy to pay £8 for that. But I think that, compared to iRacing, it's a good deal. But where does it become too much? When does it get to the point where we're paying money for cars that are terrible just to test them out? I mean, this one came with a demo car, it came with the Corvette you can download for free. You can get that on the ISI forums in third party. They'll do like a free demo car for you to try out and see if you like it. But I just hope it isn't the way of the future, because I don't want to see people making mods for money. The whole point of sim racing, it's something that I've been dealing with a lot recently with the increase in YouTube and kind of Twitch interest, is kind of content versus reward. I get a certain amount of money or so for putting out a decent video and whatever that I'm not really going to talk about, but I don't want it to be to the point where people are making stuff just purely for money. Sim racing has been such a great community because of the passion behind it, the passion behind the people who make the mods, the passion behind the people who make the games, and you can really tell when something is made by someone who's out to make money. Sim race way. So to sum up, payware mods can be worth it, I guess. I mean, this one is a prime example of a good payware mod, but if it gets to a point where people are being charged for the most terrible of mods out there, and that's when sim racing is going to take a dive. The reason why a lot of people get into it is because it's so accessible, especially like R Factor scene, where you can just go grab 400, 500 mods off the forums and it's nothing. But this one's worth it, so thumbs up for me for the URD mod. Anyway guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified of future videos. There should be a Lotus 79 race coming up soon, just keep an eye out for that. And yeah, have a fantastic day. I'll catch you guys later.